Flygirl, Chapter 10. I'm not the first one in line today at the showers. All 12 of us are up early. Today is the day we fly. Lily times us, 5-minute showers each. Even so, the last girl out has no time to worry about makeup or hair. She just yanks her zoot suit on and races outside with the rest of us. Fortunately, Uncle Sam doesn't care about lipstick or perfectly curled hair. Only the first few girls out of the shower can afford to primp. Dolled up or not, our whole bay makes it through the showers and outside in time for formation and roll call. Patsy and I make sure our classmates line up outside the barracks into our separate flights. I stand next to Patsy and watch Lily call out the roll in a high, nervous voice. She catches my eye and I give her a thumbs up. She smiles and leads us to the mess hall for breakfast. An hour later, we are back into the barracks, trying to finish what we started in the bathrooms before breakfast. At 8:45, Lily leads our flight, zoot-suited and urban turbaned, out to the cattle trucks that will take us to our first day of flying. The trucks are what they call stake beds, large flatbed trucks with wooden slats almost like a fence to keep the animals in. We stand in back and get towed 3 miles to one of our auxiliary fields where new classes begin their training. The ready room at the field is nothing more than a Quonset hut, a low-slung arch of a building with a tin roof that touches the ground on both sides. It looks more like a tunnel than a building. Inside, benches are lined up against a blackboard scribbled with flight calculations of other pilots. Lily, Patsy, and I stick together. We take seats and wait like a bunch of first graders on the first day of school. I almost wish I had an apple for the teacher. At 0900 precisely, our instructor arrives. He's a civilian, and his name is Happy Martin. You may call me Sir, Instructor Martin, or Mr. Martin. Neither I nor the majority of our flight instructors are enlisted. That, however, does not mean we do not deserve your respect. You've left husbands and children at home to be here, and while I can't approve of that choice, I can make sure that you still know your place in this man's army. A murmur of disapproval sweeps across the room. Not so much sounds of protest as a shifting of bodies and seats. I am reminded of the flight instructor back in Tuskegee. There are no steel blue eyes here, no strong disapproving jawline. On the contrary, Instructor Martin is a very prim-looking fellow, black hair carefully combed back, not a strand out of place. He is wearing a khaki suit and matching slacks, despite his insistence that he is not military. His black rimmed glasses are the only square thing on his round face. He looks like an insurance salesman. It takes me a full minute to believe this man has ever flown in his life. Anybody whose feet have ever left this green earth should have something wild about them, something free. One look at Instructor Martin, and I'm pretty sure that, military or no, he spit shines his shoes, and his wife presses into the crease into his pants precisely the same way every single day. The moment of tension passes, ignored by the teacher, but well noted by the students. A look at Patsy, fully expecting her to stand up to Martin the way she did Nancy Howard. Instead, she's examining her fingernails as if it's a casual day at the beach. To my right, Lily clenches her jaw in defiance. We'll show him, she seems to say. I raise my own chin a little higher. Now, because you'll be sharing parachutes, I'll need you to split up into 2 groups according to height. Anyone below 5'5" over here, 5'6" and 7s to this side, 8s and 9s, and so forth. Although I doubt we'll be getting anyone taller than that. He laughs at his own humor. A few of the girls feel obliged to join in. See you on the ground, I say to Patsy. She's definitely in the 5'8", 5'9" range, while Lily and I are firmly in the 5'2" to 5 foot range, 5'5". Good luck, Flygirl, she tells me. Good luck. The parachutes they give us attach to our torsos with thick olive drab harnesses that go over the shoulders and around the legs. Our zoot suit bags out over them unmercifully, but you could have told me I had to wear iron shoes and I'd still be smiling. I'm about to fly. Instructor Martin walks us through the use of the chutes, how to pull the ripcord, how to fold up the silks afterwards. Feeling the smooth cloth under my fingers makes me think of Jolene's prized silk stockings, reluctantly turned over to the army back home. I guess she did help the war effort after all. Parachutes in place, Instructor Martin leads the first group of girls, those of us with 5'5" and under crowd, out to the tarmac. The rest of the girls are supposed to wait in the ready room for their turn, but they rush the door to watch us. The plane waiting for us on the tarmac is an absolute beauty. To my farm-raised eyes, those silver wings and open cockpit are like a dream, but some of the girls are grown slightly. Ladies, this is a PT-19A, a primary trainer. By the time this course is done, you will have completed 55 hours in this plane. You'll be able to fuel her, repair her, land her in the event of an accident. I know this all sounds routine to such an accomplished lot of pilots. He makes no attempt to hide his sarcasm. But Sunday flying with your beau and actually flying the military away are two different things. These planes are heavier than the Jennies and Pipers you flew at home, and there will be no one here to hold your hand. Having said that, do we have a volunteer? Every hand in the group goes up, mine included. Instructor Martin smirks as if he knew this would happen. Not a cautious one of you in the lot, he notes. Very well, we'll make this easy. You, what's your name? Lily, the first in line to his left, steps forward, face pale with 2 red spots on her cheeks. I can't tell if she's excited or terrified, but I'm guessing it's both. Lily Lowenstein, sir. Martin raises an eyebrow at the name, and I thought I'd have it hard. Well, Lily Lowenstein, he makes the name sound long and round. You have your flight suit, your parachute, and your goggles? Yes, sir, she says nervously. Well, then put the goggles on and get in. Lily hesitates. I want to whisper her, tell her it's a trap, but I don't need to. We haven't run our flight check yet, sir. We should go over the plane first. Happy Martin doesn't look happy. She's just robbed him of a chance to make her look like a fool. I try not to smile too broadly. Lily knows her stuff, and after watching her try to make a bed, I hadn't been so sure. So someone actually did pay attention in flight school, he says. Miss Lowenstein, lead the way. Only after giving the plane a thorough once-over does Lily climb in with Instructor Martin behind her. The PT-19A has an open cockpit with 2 controls, one in the front and the other in the back. Instructor Martin takes the rear seat. He radios the tower for clearance and without warning starts down the runway. Lily gives me a quick thumbs up and takes off, Martin at the controls. We won't be allowed to take off or land until he's confident we can handle the plane through all the basic maneuvers every pilot here should know. All the girls, even the ones in the ready room, line up on the tarmac to watch Lily's first flight. The plane banks and turns. It's a beautiful sight to see in the clear blue Texas sky. And then, suddenly, the plane does a loop in the air and something awful happens. Lily falls out of the plane. A tiny figure, still visible in her oversized zoot suit, slips from the back seat and plummets down towards the earth. We all cry out. My legs start moving before I can think. Patsy, the entire class, starts to run, our eyes on the sky. A second later, the parachute balloons out behind her, and we all heave a sigh of relief. Thank you, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, Patsy mutters. Amen, I add. Silently, I say thank you to Jolene, too. We jog the rest of the way across the fields to the spot where Lily has drifted gently to earth. When we get there, she is crying. Honey, are you hurt? Patsy kneels beside her. No, she sobs. Are you sure? Can you stand? I give her a hand and we help pull her to her feet. Is she all right? The other girls ask, running towards us, breathless. Lily's face, already red from crying, turns an even deeper red. Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. She gives them a weak thumbs up. A cheer goes up, but Lily turns away. I'm so embarrassed I could die. She begins to pace in little circles. I put my arm around her shoulder. Patsy begins to gather a parachute. Well, what happened? Lily stops her pacing, gives me an anguished look. Oh, Ida, I swear I fastened my seat belt, but this darn suit is so big it got in the way, and I guess the belt didn't lock properly. I should have double-checked it, but it felt right, and we took off so fast, and he was saying, look at this, and don't forget that, and then he says, do a loop, and like he doesn't think I can, and the next thing I know, I'm pulling my ripcord, and I've been so careful, too. It's all right, Lily, it's just the first day, and that's one mistake you'll never make again. Aw, honey, it's a rite of passage, Patsy says. You've joined the Caterpillar Club. The Caterpillar Club? Lily asks. That's what they call it when you use your parachute. It opens like a silk cocoon. You've just spread your wings, a little butterfly. We sent the warning to all the girls in Flight 1. Don't forget to double-check your seatbelt. No one else wants to be a member of that club today. By the time we get back to the flight line, Instructor Martin has landed. Any broken limbs? He calls out to Lily. No, sir. Lily blushes, 3 shades of pink, and I feel just awful for her. But at least he's not given her a demerit. Fortunately, Miss Lowenstein remembered her parachute, if not her seatbelt, he says to the class. Lily starts to protest, but I put a hand on her arm to stop her. Falling out of your plane doesn't earn you a demerit today, but arguing with an instructor just might. Martin clasps his little hands together with a smug look and says, The kitchen is safer than the sky, ladies. Let that be a lesson to you. Next. Lily bristles, but I have no time to commiserate. I'm up. My hands start to sweat. This is the first time I've done more than a sit in a plane since Tuskegee 3 years ago, and it looks like Instructor Martin is determined to make it hard. Then again, this is what I'm come here for. I give the plane a once-over and climb on board. This plane is not too different from my daddy's plane. The same sort of open cockpit, tandem seats for pilot and co-pilot. It's just like going up on a dusting run with Grandy sitting ahead of me. With that thought, all the butterflies fade away. It's like a cool wind is blowing my mind. I smile. Settling into the front seat, I make double sure I fasten my seatbelt before I look over the instruments and put my hand on the throttle. Hands off until we're in the air, Martin shouts at me. His voice comes through the Ghost Sport, a speaking tube that runs from his dashboard to my helmet like a one-way telephone. I nod. I'll tell you what to do and when. I nod again, and I sit back. Martin can do what he will. I aim to enjoy myself. This is Flight 1, PT-19A, signaling for takeoff, Martin says into the radio. After a brief moment, the radio crackles to life. This is the tower, a man's voice says. PT-19A, you are cleared for takeoff. Miss Jones, note the clearance light at the tower and the pattern of the flight, and to your left, the windsock on the hangar. Note the direction of the wind, and the sun and the moon and the cows in the fields, I think. I will not be distracted. I checked the wind and the clouds the minute we got onto the plane. Nothing to get into our way. With a hum of engine and tires, we roll up the runway and leap into flight. The wind snaps around my ears, tugging at my turban and my goggles, burning my face with its speed. I want to laugh. I want to spread my arms into the clear blue sky and soar toward the sun. We climb higher and higher, and suddenly the plane dips. You have the controls, Miss Jones. My hand falls onto the stick easily, and I pull us level. The instructor told the truth. This plane does not respond as easily as my father's GN4. But it does respond. We ride the air, and I think of Daddy. This is exactly where I want to be. Let's begin with an easy turn. Bank right. I follow his orders and guide the plane into a smooth turn. First right, then left, up and down, he commands. The wind flows over her wings like an ice cream, smooth and sweet. Release, he says through the tube, and I reluctantly let go of the stick. I can feel him take over and realize a second before he does that he is throwing us into a loop. I can't help myself. I throw my hands into the air with complete and utter glee. Upside down, I can see Avenger and the other auxiliary fields dotting the flat, sandy landscape like raisins and a piece of bread. Parachute! Instructor Martin yells at me. He thinks I'm falling out of the plane, and then it sinks in. The old codger is trying to dump me. Lily didn't have an accident after all. The kitchen is safer than the sky, my foot. I snort and bring my hands back in. Martin pulls the plane level and brings us in for a landing. That's not proper decorum for a military pilot, Miss Jones, he warns me. I could hear the disappointment in his voice. Or for a young lady, he adds. Or for an instructor, I think. Regardless, when we come in for a landing, part of me is still flying. How many girls is he going to try to dump before he realizes we've learned our lesson? I ask Patsy as she steps up the flight line. He should be court-martialed for this, trying to scare us into quitting. It's practically attempted murder. She shakes her head. Like any of the girls here would turn him in on the first day of flight school. Nobody take the word for a brand new trainee over an instructor's, and don't think he doesn't know it. She scowls at Martin, who stands smugly beside the plane, waiting for his next victim. But don't you worry. I've got a fix for Mr. Happy, she says, and he'll swallow it, or I'll turn him in myself. She throws me a wink and strides towards the plane with a smirk to match the instructor's. Lily, come watch this, I call her away from her parachute, which she's been worrying over ever since her awkward landing. Of the bunch, she's the only one Martin managed to actually dump, especially since she was the one doing the flying. Sure, he tried to surprise the rest of us by taking the controls over himself, but you've only got to see a girl fall out of the plane once to make sure it doesn't happen to you. Poor Lily. I hope Patsy pays Martin back 100-fold. She is the last one to go up today, and everyone comes out to watch her. Happy sends her into her usual banks and turns, but on the top of the loop, something remarkable happens. At the top of the loop, upside down, Patsy drops out of the plane, but she does not fall. She holds onto the plane with both hands, doing what she looks like a handstand, only she's standing right side up with the plane over her. My heart skips a beat. She'll be killed, Lily screams. No, she's a wing walker, remember? Cakewalk Kate? But she doesn't even have a rope or anything. One of the girls steps forward, shielding her eyes for a better view. Way I hear it, they didn't even need parachutes until 38, she grins. Hot dog, she's just out there looking. Look at her go. Lily falls silent, but she doesn't relax until Patsy flips herself back into the plane just as it comes level again. When Patsy pays someone back, she sure does it with style. Can't you just hear him screaming at her? I ask, a broad grin spreading across my face. Miss Cake, that is not proper decorum for a lady. I mimic the instructor's prim voice. The other girls laugh, even Lily reluctantly. I suppose, though, I'll have to give her a demerit for that. She looks suddenly crestfallen. What if she washes out for this? Everyone else sobers up fast. Oh, no, she won't, I tell her quickly. She deserved a scare for what he did to you, and he won't dare punish her. She'll turn him in if he does, even if it's a trainee's word against his. I'll back her up if it comes to that. But for now, we didn't see anything. Let's get back to the ready room. I doubt he'll even mention it. He'll be too embarrassed. We bustle back to the ready room as quickly as we can. No one stays outside to see Patsy's triumph return to Earth. She walks into the room a few minutes later, eyes shining. She gives us a curious look. I wink at her. She smiles. The old buzzer gave me 2 demerits, but it was worth it, she announces. He'll never pull that stunt again. Oh, Patsy, that's terrible, Lily exclaims. Maybe we should report him. Patsy shrugs. Do you want to go to court, or do you want to fly? The rest of us remain silent. We're pilots, and we want to stay, no matter what. I squeeze Patsy's hand, and a second later, a very flustered Instructor Martin enters the room. Well, ladies, that will be all for today. This afternoon you have physical instruction back at the base, and I'll see you in the morning. He doesn't so much as look at one of us. We all stare daggers at him except Patsy, who demurely lowers her eyes, trying not to smile. Instructor Martin clears his throat and busies himself with his papers. Dismissed.